So what type of ibadah, what type of worship? We have accepted, an accepted worship, something that's been accepted. So qabila yaqbalu, okay, which means qubulan, which means to accept something. Qubul, qubul, like that. So ibadatan maqbulan, ibadatan maqbulan, to accept something. Next slide, we'll go over some more things that I like with the plural of a ghayr aqil. Okay, so here, if the mawsuf is a plural of a ghayr aqil, of an unintelligent being, or something other than mankind, jinn or malaika, the sifa will always be in the singular feminine case. Okay, so here's some examples from the Quran. We have sururun marfu'a. Okay, so this is all from Surah Ghashiyah. The ayat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing Jannah, He's describing paradise. So what do we have? Sururun marfu'a. We have raised couches. Okay, marfu'a from rafa'a yarfa'u, raf'an, which means to raise something. Okay, and surur is from sarir. Surur is like a couch or a bed. Okay, sarir is the mufrad of that. So sarirun, sururun marfu'a. Okay, raised couches. Can someone tell me? I just told you surur, the mufrad, the singular form of surur is sarir. Okay, so sarir. How would you change this to mawsuf sifa to be masculine? Sururun marfu'a. How would you change that to be singular form? I gave you half of it already. Sarir is the mufrad.
Sarirun marfu'an.
Marfu'an. Good. Barakallah fiqh. You drop the ta marbuta from marfu'a and it becomes marfu'an, raised bed or raised couch, you could say, or whatever. Okay, so sarirun marfu'an. And you change it to jama, sururun marfu'a. So now one of the things to look at, again, sarir is a masculine word actually. Okay, but when it turns into plural, it becomes a feminine word. Why did it become feminine word? Can someone tell me? It's ghayr aqil, barakallahu feek. It's ghayr aqil, it's not intelligent. So sarir, even though it's singular form, it's a masculine word, but when you put it into a plural word, into a plural form, it becomes surur, which becomes feminine. And that's why the sifa, the adjective, has to be also feminine. So we have surur marfu'a, and also the other rule I said, it has to be singular, the sifa has to be singular feminine. It's not going to be surur marfu'at, it's going to be surur marfu'atun. Okay? Next one, aqwabun mawdu'a. Aqwabun mawdu'a, which means placed cups. Like we see cups laying around. One of the examples I give is that when you go to like for example right here, we have placed cups sitting right there. We don't have the flowing water and the wine and the good drink of Jannah here, but we have nice cold water or whatever you have here, and you have these placed cups. Okay, they're sitting around. You can take whatever you want, drink whatever you want. You can drink as much as you want. This is placed cups. And one of the things is akwab. The mufrad of this is kub. Okay, kubun, which means a cup. Okay, and again, let's change akwabun mawdu'a. How would you change that into singular form? Kubun mawdu'an. Good. Okay, so a placed cup, something that has been wada yada'u wada'an, which means to place something. So for example, one of the things it's in hadith studies, you learn a hadith is mawdu', something that has been placed, something that they took out of their pocket or out of their intellect and they just placed it, they fabricated it. Okay, mawdu'. So that's from that. Mawdu', wada'a yada'u, wada'a shay means to place something. Aqwabu mawdu'a, placed cups. Namariqu masfufa. The next one, namariqu masfufa. This is from Nimriq. Okay, Nimriq, which means basically like a couch. No, sorry, not couch. A cushion or like a pillow. Okay, a pillow or a cushion. So namariqu masfufa, and masfufa is from saf. Safa yasuffu saffan, which we do every day in prayer. 5 times in prayer we do what? We make the saf. We make a straight saf. We make the sufuf. And here masfufa means they're lined up cushions. And one of the things that actually, we have to look back to where the Quran was revealed. Even now, up to now, if you go to Saudi Arabia, you see when you go to a dinner, they have couches, or they have, if you're sitting on the floor, they have cushions lined up on lines on the wall-to-wall cushions, and you sit there and you have like when you have a da'wah, or you have a da'wah, when you have a gathering, you have everybody sitting on the side and they're talking to each other. This is talking about that. Basically, we'll be, inshallah, in Jannah, we'll be sitting together, talking, enjoying ourselves. We'll have surah marfu'ah, we'll be on raised couches, we'll have cushions behind us, okay, lined up cushions behind us. We'll have the aqwab al-mawdu'a, we'll have cups placed with all kinds of drinks, and we'll have zarabi mabthutha, we'll have beautiful carpeting. Okay, if you have couches, you have cushions, you have your friends over, you have cups, everything, but the floor is bare. You have cement on the ground. It's not going to be a pretty sight. So you have nice carpets. You have a nice carpet laid out. Okay, zarabiyu mabthutha. Zarabi, the mufrad of this is zurbiyun, and so zurbi basically a carpet, and zarabiyu mabthutha. Mabthutha comes from batha. Batha yabuthu bathan, which means to spread something out. And this comes in the Quran. This is one of the ayahs you probably hear in the khutbah on Jum'ah. يا أيها الناس اتقوا الله يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة. Okay, and then وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says وبث منهما, and He spread out in the world from them two, from this man and wife, from Adam alayhi salam and his wife Hawa, from our mother and father. He spread from them رجالا كثيرا ونساء. He spread out many men and women throughout the earth. So batha meaning to be spread out. So again, we have zarabi mabthutha, mawsuf sifa, and the sifa is in the singular feminine state because it's ghair aqil. Because the mawsuf, because the thing it's describing is mufrad. Next slide, we have an example from the Quran. And can someone remember in the first rak'ah, for those of you who were here for Maghrib, in the first rak'ah, there was one famous ayah of the Quran that was recited. Can someone tell me?
Surah Nur, ayah 35.
Barakallah feek. Okay, so Surah Nur, from Surah Nur, the ayah was revealed, and this is famously known as Ayatul Nur, or the light, the ayah of light. Okay, and there was a mawsuf sifa that was in that ayah, and this is what actually, don't make fun of me, this is what I was thinking about in the prayer. But anyway, but we have shajaratan tayyiba, shajaratan mubarakah. Okay, shajara mubarakah, which means a blessed tree. Okay, a blessed tree, and this is mawsuf sifa. So shajara, which means a tree, and you have mubarakah, a blessed tree. Okay, shajara mubarakah. Anyways, next the ayah we have here. ثم قست قلوبكم من بعد ذلك فهي كالحجارة أو أشد قسوة. And the little bit of the background behind this ayah is this is talking about the famous incident of the Baqarah. We know in the Quran, Surah Baqarah, it's named after that incident also, Surah Al-Baqarah. And that incident was when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered Bani Israel to slaughter a cat, or slaughter a cow, right? And the reason behind that was there was a man, he had a lot of wealth. He did not have any waratha, he didn't have anybody to inherit, except he didn't have any children, except he had a nephew who was alive, who was the closest wali to him. And this nephew of his couldn't wait to get his hands on the wealth. So what he did was he actually killed his uncle so he could take the wealth now and then. He wanted the wealth. Killed his uncle, then he took the body and he put it in front of someone else's house in the middle of the night. And the morning time came, the body was found, and it had been murdered. They could tell there was blood or whatever. They could tell. They came and they started fighting each other. Actually, a war almost took place in between the tribes, because the nephew started standing there and claiming that they killed my uncle, I want revenge. And after that, they started to think themselves, why are we fighting? Why don't we ask Musa alayhi salam, we have a Nabi with us, ask him to pray to Allah, he can do dua, we'll find out who killed this man. The baqarah was ordered, they had to slaughter, they slaughtered it, and with a piece of its meat, they took it and they hit the dead body, the mayyit. What happened after that? It became alive again, and it told them that my nephew, it pointed towards the nephew, and said, my nephew killed me, and then it died again. It went back to sleep, or it died again. And so after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that after what, ثُمَّ قَسَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ ذَلِكَ. Even after you've seen all these signs, you've seen people come back to life. You saw that, you took the dead meat and you hit it on his body and it came back alive. You see the clouds that are following you, giving you shade. You saw that the 12 fountains have come out of a rock. They asked for water. They were thirsty. They were in the desert. They asked for water. Musa a.s. was ordered to take your asa, hit it on the hijara. There was a rock, there was a boulder there. Hit it on that boulder, and from that boulder 12 streams, 12 ayun, 12 springs came forth from a rock. And imagine, they saw all these miracles, but even after that, ثُمَّ قَسَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ. Qasat is from qasa, yaqsu, qasawatan or qaswatan, which means to become hard, to become hardened, to become dry. So, ثُمَّ, even after that, قَسَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ, your hearts, qulub is from qalb. Qalb is the mufrad, meaning a heart, and qaliba yaqlabu, which means something that turns, because the heart, the state of the heart, it's not always the same, we're always changing. We love pizza one day, the next month we might not like that pizza place anymore. We like, this drink, the next couple months you might not like. So we change, we're always constantly changing. ثُمَّ قَسَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ. Then your hearts became hardened. مِن بَعْدِ, min means min ba'd, from after that, ذَلِكَ, مِن بَعْدِ ذَلِكَ, after that your hearts became hardened. فَهِيَ كَالْحِجَارَةِ. So they became, فَهِيَ كَالْحِجَارَةِ. They became like rocks. They became like rocks. أَوْ أَشَدُّ قَسْوَةً. Or they even became harder than rocks. So here one thing I want to say, قُلُوبُكُمْ. Qulub, this is a jama, it's a plural of qalb, which means heart, and heart is what, aqil or ghayr aqil. Ghayr aqil, okay? Barakallahu feek. So we see that there's a pronoun that is used, which is referring actually back to qulub. Here, okay? So instead of saying qalb, remember the mufrad is qalb, which means heart, and there's no two hearts in the body. We don't have two hearts unless you're a Martian or something like that, but we have one heart, right? So qalb is a mudhakkar, it's a masculine word, and even though when it changes to plural, the hiya is used because it's referring to that. Okay? فَهِيَ كَالْحِجَارَةِ. So it becomes like the hijara. Hijara is a rock. Okay? Hijara, and the jama of that ahjar. Okay? Hijara is the jama. You have hajarun. Hajarun is the mufrad. Hijara or ahjar is the jama of that. So it becomes like the rocks. أو أشد قسوة, or it becomes even harder than rocks. Okay? Can someone point out, I'll continue on inshallah, but so far, can someone point out another word that is feminine in this part so far? Hijara, barakallahu, that's feminine, because it's plural, and what else? Qaswa, with qaswa, okay? And qaswa is also, like we talked about, I mentioned that briefly, masdar, a verb noun, or action noun, action word you could say. Qaswa means the hardening of something, okay? Qaswa. This has a ta marbuta at the end, so that's why it is a feminine word, okay? And one of the things, for example, if I want to say qaswatun, qaswa means to hardening of something. If I want to say something, a really strong hardening of something, we went over ashad, which comes after that, before that. Ashad means something that's really harsh or hard. Okay, shadid. Okay, so you have qaswatun shadidatun, which means a hard hardening. Okay, or harsh hardening. Okay, for example, وَإِنَّ مِنَ الْحِجَارَةِ لَمَا يَتَفَجَّرُ مِنْهُ الْأَنْهَارِ. So inna min al-hijara, and from the rocks, and from the types of rocks, there is what? Yatafajjaru, there is those types of rocks, يَتَفَجَّرُ تَفَجَّرَ يَتَفَجَّرُ تَفَجُّرًا, which means to gush forth, to come forth. From that, minhu, from those rocks, al-anhar. From that type of rock is anhar, the nahar. The mufrad mean nahar, a river or a spring. Anhar is jama of that, okay? وَإِنَّ مِنْهَا, and from it, لَمَا يَشَّقَّقُ. يَشَّقَّقُ means something that breaks, something that shaq. Shaq means shaqul qamar, for example, the miracle of the splitting of the moon. يَشَّقَّقُ means something that splits, or something that starts to crack. يَشَّقَّقُ فَيَخْرُجُ مِنْهُ الْمَاءِ. And then there are types of rocks that they start to crack and water starts coming out. Even though it might not be too much, it might not gush forth, but it starts to come out. مِنْهُ الْمَاءِ. And al-ma, which is water, okay? And the jama of that, miyahun. وَإِنَّ مِنْهَا لَمَا يَهْبِطُ. And then there are types of rocks that yahbit, habata yahbitu, which means to come down, okay? From a high place to come down to a low place, similar to nuzul. Yahbitu min khashyatillah. Then there are those types of rocks which, from the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they fall down. And the ulama have given different tafsir of these ayat. One of the tafsirs is that, for example, the three types of hearts. You have one heart that cries constantly. And like I mentioned yesterday, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu kana bakka'an. He used to cry a lot. He used to cry, immensely. So the first type of heart is that the one that وَإِنَّ مِنَ الْحِجَارِ لَمَا يَتَفَجِّرُ مِنْهُ الْأَنْهَارِ. The water, the rivers, gush forth. So like a person who, kathratul buka, someone who cries a lot, that is the first type of heart. The second type of heart is someone also who has iman, but maybe a little bit less iman, but someone who cries, but qalilul buka, someone who does not cry that much. And then the third type of hijara is that which, out of fear of Allah, from the khashya of Allah, the khashya yakhta, khashyatan, which means to fear something. So out of the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it starts to, it doesn't cry physically, there's no tears that come out, but the heart trembles. The heart, you feel some fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا اللَّهُ بِغَافِلٍ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not ghafil, He's not unaware, عَمَّا تَعْمَلُونَ, from what you are doing, from those actions that you are doing. Okay, are we good so far, inshallah? Okay, next ayah. وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا لَا تَجْزِي نَفْسٌ عَنْ نَفْسٍ شَيْئًا. And fear and prepare and protect yourselves from that day. لَا تَجْزِي نَفْسٌ. When a soul will not have any jaza yadzi jaza'an, which means to give some kind of reward or some kind of help or anything, to give someone something. They will not be able to help each other, عَنْ نَفْسٍ شَيْئًا, will not be able to help each other one bit. ولا يقبل منها عدل ولا تنفعها شفاعة ولا هم ينصرون. There's many words here that are actually feminine. Here, so for now, I'll just go over them really fast. We have nafs. And nafs is one of those words that they don't have the signs, but because the Quran, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used it as a feminine word, we know it's feminine. And how do we know it's feminine here? We have tadzi. Tadzi, the word that comes before it. Actually, this is a word that we're not going to go over that. Actually, in this 10 lessons, we're not going to go over this. This comes later on in the 40 lessons. Verbs. And tadzi here, tadzi is from jaza, yadzi, jaza'an, which means to give reward. So tadzi actually is a feminine type right here. It's used in a feminine word, the feminine form. Tadzi nafsun an nafsin. That's one way we know. Another way, wala yuqbalu minha. This ha, this is similar to hiya. So you have hiya and ha, and then you have huwa and hu. So ha here, this is a pronoun referring to what? Sorry? Yeah, so the ha is a pronoun referring back to? Nafs, barakallah fiqh. It's referring back to nafs. So that's also we know, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses hiya or ha here, a pronoun, feminine pronoun. So we know nafs is feminine. Okay? So wattaqu yawman, and fear that day, prepare for that day, protect yourself from that day. La tazi nafsun an nafsun shay'a. Shay is something that is like something small, or anything. Shay is anything, okay? And shay'a, in this sense, it means even a little bit, okay? And ashya, okay? Ashya is the jama of that. وَلَا يُقْبَلُ مِنْهَا عَدْلٌ. And يُقْبَلْ قَبِلَ يَقْبَلُ قبولا, which means to accept something, to take something. وَلَا يُقْبَلُ مِنْهَا عَدْلٌ وَلَا تَنْفَعُهَا شَفَاعَةٌ. And it will not be taken from it. It will not be accepted from it any shafa'ah, which is a word that ends with ta marbuta, so it's feminine. Shafa'ah, which means intercession. Okay? Shafi'a yashfa'u shafa'atan, which means to intercede on someone's behalf. وَلَا هُمْ يُنصَرُونَ. Nor will they, whom, which means they, nor will they be yunsarun, they will not be helped one bit. Nasara yansuru nasran, which means to help. Yunsarun, they will not be helped one bit. Next ayah, we have tilka ummatun qad khalat. Okay, tilka ummatun qad khalat. We have a demonstrative pronoun here, ism ishara, which is tilka. Barakallahu feek. Tilka ummatun qad khalat. Also we have a word here which ends in ta marbuta, ummatun. This is the ummah, basically like a nation, a tribe, you could say, or whatever. Ummatun qad khalat. Khalat means they have passed. Okay, so that is a nation that has passed. Laha, for that nation, laha ma kasabat is what they earned. Walakum ma kasabtum, and for you is what you earned. Meaning that leave them, don't worry about them, they have passed. Whatever you are doing. Kasbul halal, for example, kasb means to earn something. Kasba yaksibu kasban, which means to earn something. So, for example, even kasb is like, for example, to earn something, to do deeds. Okay, that's also another use of kasb. وَلَا تُسْأَلُونَ, and you will not be asked. Sa'ala yas'alu su'alan. Su'al, okay, or mas'alatan, for example, something that is asked. Okay, La tus'aluna, you will not be asked amma kanu ya'malun, you will be not asked about what they used to do. Okay, next ayah. Here we have أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ألم تر إلى الذي حاج إبراهيم في ربي. Do you not look towards إلى الذي, to the one. Okay, alam, do you not? Tara, from ra'a, yara, ra'yan, which means to see something, or also it can mean to think about, have an opinion about something. Alam tara, do you not look toward, do you not see? Ila alladhi, to the one, hajja Ibrahim, the one who argued. Okay, hujja, the one who hajja, the one who argued with Ibrahim alayhi salam. And this does not mean hajj, does not mean to do hajj, even though hajjaj like to argue a lot. But this is not argument. This means hajja, to have an argument. Okay, to argue. Ibrahim fi Rabbi, the one who argued with Ibrahim alayhi salam in regards to his Lord. And this is talking about Namrud. Okay, Namrud, which is the king of that time. And there's a word Nimrod. Nimrod is used, to make. It's not used nowadays. I think it's like one of the 70s or 80s maybe. But Nimrod is like something when you want to make fun of someone, or call him, unintelligent, or someone who's dumb, you'll call him a Nimrod, right? And this actually has the same root as Namrud. Allah maybe it came from that. But Namrud was actually one of those dumb kings out there. And Ibrahim fi Rabbi, an atahu Allahu al-mulk. So he started arguing with Ibrahim. This is after the incident of the fire, when Ibrahim alayhi salam was saved from the fire. He called because he heard of this Ibrahim. He heard about how he was saved and he wasn't burned in the fire. He wanted to see this man. He wanted to see what's up with him, and that he heard that he worshipped someone other than him. So he says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me the mulk. He has given me the kingdom. I'm the king here. إذ قال Ibrahim. Then Ibrahim alayhi salam, what did he say to him? Rabbi alladhi yuhyi. So Namrud asked him. He said, Man Rabbuk? Man Rabbuk? Who is your Lord? Who is your God? And Ibrahim alayhi salam, he answered by saying, Rabbi alladhi yuhyi wa yumeet. He is the one, yuhyi wa yumeet. He is the one who gives life. Ahya yuhyi ihya'an, from hayy. So something that is hayy, something that is alive. Hayatan, which also means to life itself. So yuhyi, my Lord is the one who gives life. Wa yumeet. And he also gives life, gives death. Amata yumeet.